melted by gamma rays, turned into the Hulk.
AT and glamour rays.
Wrecking the town with the power of a bull.
Ain't no monster clown who is as lovable
As ever-loving Hulk. Hulk.
Oh. That's us. Welcome, everybody, to Series Star Trek without Dantron. He didn't give me the credentials for the Star Trek stuff, so I just do comic stuff. So that was the Hulk, the ever-loving Hulk from 1962. I don't know. Let's add Dr. John Price. Hey, John. What do you think? Was that the Marvel comic from 1962?
In college, my fraternity nickname was Smash because, like Hulk Smash, Price
Sure.
Smash, just don't get me smashed.
Right, you were drunk like the Hulk, right?
Sometimes I
Right,
was, I mean, look, if they didn't want drywall to be punchable, why did they make it so damn flimsy?
All right, let John Suntrace up here. Special guest star, the electronics expert for this Mission Impossible episode, John Suntrace.
Yay.
Hey, John.
I'm your Barney. That's fantastic.
Thanks
Greg
for joining in and helping us out. It's always fun having three people. John and I will just start talking about, Germany annexing the Sudetenland in 1941 or something, and it's good because we can say who Angelique Pettyjohn is with her baked potato bikini top from Star Trek, and we don't have to explain who that is. So thanks, John.
We blew it. If we were older and going to Star Trek conventions, apparently in the 70s, she would perform in the tinfoil bikini and this whole like battle choreography dance that she would do. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's awesome.
Did she end up with a costume, do you think, or did she have to like make her own?
I'm assuming she made her own.
Oh, that's so. Either way.
Long time Hollywood vet. Maybe she went to Western costumes herself and got the bikini. Who the hell knows?
You just don't know. Like before the 90s, no one cared, right? I mean, the giant Nostromo ship was in Bob Burns's driveway with raccoons living in it for like 25 years. Like it's just in Hollywood itself, nobody cares.
It's so insane.
Outside of Hollywood, everybody's like, wow, that's amazing.
Well, and Debbie Reynolds tried so hard to make a Hollywood museum happen and had so many iconic costumes and set pieces and props. And it, like you said, it's like, yeah, whatever. Good Lord. They really had to work hard apparently to save the Fox archive of all the set design information going back to like apparently the 20s or 30s. My buddy Gabe Hardman was telling me all about this. And it's like one of the most invaluable resources of, I kind of wanted to look the way it looked in that Edward G. Robinson movie. What happened then? They had the info. And it's like, and they were just gonna junk it all. And someone got smart. I wish I could tell you who. No, we want that Hollywood history, please. Yeah. And of course, we know what's happening with TCM and all that nonsense.
Sure. Now,
what's happening with TCM?
Well,
I don't pay attention.
No worries, John. They whacked like a third of their management and employees, and it got so. And they were even supposedly talking about, they do a preamble to a movie and then a postscript to the movie,
right,
with bits of information and stuff. And supposedly they were like kind of floating around. Hey, let's get rid of the postscript. We don't need that. And I forget who the third director was, but it was like Scorsese and now I'm blanking again. I forget who the other Spielberg, of course. Spielberg, Scorsese, and one other director called the CEO, and it's like, please don't destroy this incredible channel that preserves movie history and stuff. And guys, as you know, and it's certainly talking Star Trek. I mean, and mentioning Angelique Pettyjohn and Nancy Kovac, as we briefly talked about before we came on. No, man, I mean, this is really great stuff. And really, the way they were neglected and the way history was neglected while the stuff was being made, it's like, thank God there are resources out there who are like, oh, no, this, the guy who played Perry White was in a million movies in the 30s and 40s, long before he was standing next to George Reeves, in the Superman show. Great stuff, man.
Yeah.
Isn't TCM involved with the underground Nevada, negative safe,
The salt
kind of
caves
urban
or
legend
something?
where they're keeping all the negatives of something. I can't remember. I gotta look it up.
I don't know. That sounds like the Carson archive, the Johnny Carson archive, which I know is in a salt mine in Utah.
Yeah,
All the original tapes.
that might be what I'm confusing. It's something like that.
But
Anyway.
no, yeah. Meanwhile, Paramount's in flames. Did you hear about that, Johnny?
Oh yes, our beloved Prodigy is apparently it's already off. I haven't checked, but apparently it's already gone.
Oh my god! I literally watched an episode, if not Monday night, Sunday night, with the threat of it being yanked.
Yeah. What the? I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on in Paramount.
Well, there were financial news stories today, and hey, guess big news. Paramount Plus is like only got half the audience that Disney has as far as streaming goes, and it's in the red.
I mean,
surprising no one.
So obviously, it's not going to have as many people as Disney. Disney has like 4 different studios under one umbrella, right?
Yeah.
Effectively, it's got all the Fox stuff, it's got all the Disney stuff, all the Lucas stuff. Like it's got
Pixar,
National Geographic.
Yeah.
We were just watching fucking cheetahs and shit yesterday.
Right.
Like not to mention all the kids stuff that I don't even care about. But
well, and again, like 25 Marvel movies and all the Marvel TV.
All the Marvel TV, everything. But I will give Paramount Plus a lot of credit. I find myself on Paramount Plus quite often. A lot more than I would if you asked me how often are you on Paramount Plus, I'd be like, yeah, once a week. It's not. It's more than once a week. So to their credit, they actually do have quite a lot of stuff. Anyway.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did want to. Philo was talking about that earlier today. If we could see him, and I wanted to prove yes. Thank you for coming.
So. Speaking of seeing things, look like Captain Fun is no longer in the Star Trek Picard lighting scheme. He's gone back to the Enterprise bridge.
I turned
and now he turned a light on.
I turned my other computer on. See, you could just do that.
It's good. I like it. I like it. He's got appropriate leather jacket. I like it.
I have to say, those Kozarmart guys, this is fantastic.
Genius.
This is their. So first of all, a lot of people were in on this. So there's a company called New American Leather that did a leather one for almost $200.
Yeah.
And Kozarmart did their sort of, what is it called? Pleather?
Pleather, exactly.
Yeah.
Plastic leather.
They did their version, and it's cut exactly the same for $60. And I'm like, I will lose 3 $20 bills, right?
Yeah.
Almost $200. That's a chunk of change. I'm going to commit to that jacket.
That you have to explain. You're like,
and I will. Don't get me wrong. I have a jacket fetish. I will. I'll have that argument with me, but not for Picard 3, right? But so I get this, and it is fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted. It's cool. If I wear it, it's, you know what? It's cheaper than the mass market Guardians of the Galaxy thing that I got for me and Mark and Steve and Walker when we went to Guardians 3 from Hot Topic. So, and I mean, it's roughly the same, but they shipped it to me. This one I had to drive around to like 3 malls to get all the sizes we needed. So this is by far like the most painless deal ever. Like, when I was a kid making my own, Star Trek shirt from the motion picture in 1979, getting extra credit in home ec class, I'm like doping the thing on the garbage bags to try to make patterns and shit. And this, I could just go, oh, here's $60 and wait a week and you get this thing that fits you. Like, it's insane. I love living in the future.
Yeah,
I recommend it.
Yeah, I'm bummed Kozarmart doesn't still have their Enterprise jacket on sale. I would have totally gotten it from them.
Did they have a jacket? Because I know
I don't know.
They did the jumpsuits. I didn't.
Yeah.
The reason I like that jacket is because I'm not a jumpsuit guy. Anyway, John Suntrays, I did this Enterprise jacket, And you've been following that I can't deal with the insignia problem that John Cooley says that Ron Tracy's ship that clearly has its own insignia actually doesn't, because he went to the Air Force. That's his philosophy as far as I can. Anyway, I got fixated on the Xer as its own ship, and I'm making like, I did one for John, like if it was during the next gen, if they did their own like a communicator, like what that
like
would
metal,
look like.
yeah,
Sure.
And so then I was during the Enterprise. Well, the Xer has to have been a ship, and they're going to have their own little costume. But some Chinese place on Amazon did like a jacket with cheap patches. So I just bought it. It was pretty cheap. It was like $75, I think.
Okay.
And you know, Amazon, it's fantastic. So I ripped off all their patches and put good patches on. But the cool thing I did was it turned the Enterprise shoulder patch into the Exeter. So I've just been like, man, why doesn't everybody have these jackets? So finally, John got sick of listening to me.
I did. I did.
And
So-
yesterday, he's like, okay, I'm fucking doing it. And he did. But so
all the components are on their way.
Dude, I spent time. I was so happy about that. I'm like, he's going to get a Kitty Hawk patch. I got to do this. So
That's outstanding, man. Excellent.
So I don't know. Everybody gets into Star Trek in their own ways, and for some reason, I just love the props and costumes. I don't
Dude,
know
they're
why.
beautiful. That's why. I mean, I guess I think preferred the Enterprise uniforms from Discovery season 2. I mean, this Strange New World garb has grown on me, but you know, they got the stupid shirts. They have the little tiny deltas kind of embedded, don't they?
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
like
yeah.
the JJ movies.
yeah.
I don't know, man. You know,
I
and
hate
of
that.
course, the costume choices for the most part during the Berman years, it was all utilitarian. Of well, of course, you're going to reuse the costumes and things like that. And you know, I can't remember which Deep Space Nine guy had. Maybe it was Cisco had Frakes's like uniform or whatever. You know,
Right.
things like that. I
Yeah,
mean, you know, so I don't know, man. It's their costumes are important. Props are important. I got I don't have it handy. A good friend of mine, Wayne from Canada, got me one of those authentic TOS communicators that you can Bluetooth and use at least as a receiver phone and everything.
Yeah, that's
You know,
great.
it's got the sound effects there. And it's perfectly sized. I mean, it's great. Oh, I love that thing.
That's you're talking about the Wand Company.
The
one.
wand
That's-
stuff, yeah.
That thing is great.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, it's
well,
good stuff.
I think it's just pretty simple that it makes the world believable, you know. So that's
Yeah.
why I like the props and costumes. It's like, oh, that's their gun, but it's not a gun; it's a phaser.
Do you guys
Yeah.
have Eagle Moss ships?
John does.
I got.
Do you have a lot of them, John? I only have 3.
I have more than 3. I got this little guy right here.
Sure.
My,
Oh yeah,
original. This
That's
is
the-
so before Eagle Moss like went under and everything. These were really hard to find, so I grabbed this one off eBay.
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
years ago, and it's broken, but that's cool. I just get to play Star Trek 3 every day. You know?
There you go.
Oh, God, Jim, what have I done?
Yeah, you're giving life a fighting chance to live, right?
I got
yeah.
I got the Delta Flyer, the Defiant, and I really love the design. And I will call it and see if you guys can tell me what Berman Trek show it appeared in, and that's the Prometheus.
Oh, the Voyager, message in a bottle.
What?
Yep.
Yeah,
Andy
you
Dick
go.
as the
it's the Andy
upgraded
Dick
EMH.
episode with the ship that breaks into 3 pieces.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I love that
But
ship. Yeah,
I loved the diamond shape
yeah,
of the saucer section, for lack
Yeah.
of better description.
yeah.
And ironically, talking about Prodigy, the Protostar kind of reminded me.
It's very similar.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's very similar.
man, guys, do you watch Prodigy? Did you watch
No.
Prodigy?
I promised you and Mitch that I would watch the first 3, and I did, and I was like, yeah,
It's
this
pretty
isn't
rough.
for
The
me.
first 3.
It's
But,
not
you know,
bad.
once-
It's not for me. That's all.
Well, once they found their footing, honestly, they were telling, I think, the best new Trek stories, including, and it's not a high hurdle leap over, but even Strange New Worlds, because it really did extend the 25th century stuff, or at least that period post Nemesis to Picard season 1 with Admiral Janeway in it and holographic Janeway. But they brought back the outrageous Ocampa, who I hate, Billy Campbell, one of the worst second season next gen episodes, but they redeemed him in bringing him back, and Billy Campbell played him again. Or I rewatched Sunday the Borg episode that they did. It's still definitely a kid show, but it's not like a stupid, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, but I just called it stupid, but like a Teletubbies, or like it's really, really kiddish. It's a solid tweener show that, much like the better Star Wars cartoons, respects the canon and respects the idea, the franchise. So I really like it, and it is a shame, because I keep saying, even Mike McMahon with Lower Decks, let these guys graduate to live action. And the Haberman brothers, who are the showrunners of Prodigy, it's like, these guys get it. It's like Favreau and Filoni with Star Wars. Please get those guys in charge instead of the BS we got to put up with every week on live action. And really, Strange New Worlds, second episode a little better, but that first episode, as many have said, including our friend Rob Burnett, the way they treat Spock like this teenager joke. Oh, you just don't get it, Spock. You don't get it at all. And it's like, Spock was with humans in Starfleet Academy, not his first rodeo. And stop playing it like, oh, you humans, you're so strange. No. And again, is it canon? Is it really in the Prime universe? If it is, didn't he already mess with Jill Ireland back in his Academy days? This side of paradise?
They don't know that. There's no way. There's no way in hell they have watched This Side of Paradise.
No,
like,
no, you're right, John.
Even that's one of the episodes even I skip. Like, there's no way they're not skipping.
I love that. I love that one.
Yeah, and especially when Spock gets mad, wants to beat the shit out of Kirk and everything. It's pretty fun.
I like how Sandoval is just like so horrified that just at the thought that they're gonna leave this like paradise, right? Like, really? I'm gonna go fucking hang out on your stupid starship? No, sorry. that's a good one.
Yeah, I like it. I watched the first couple episodes of Prodigy. I just didn't. I mean, it wasn't for me, but I liked it. Like, I didn't have anything against it, which is a lot more than most of the other shows. So I don't understand the fact that, like,
also
they're already done with season 2, right?
There's something going on.
Isn't that true? They're already done with season 2.
There's something going on in entertainment, though. I mean,
it's in
people.
Post. I don't know if you can hear me.
Right? Yeah.
The people have, completed their stuff. Like, look at the Batgirl movie. It was $90 million, and they just went, "Yeah, we're not going to release that. We'll take the tax write-off." And so maybe that's what's going on with this. It's like, okay, we paid everybody to do this, but it's not worth it for us to.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I think it has to do with
I suspect
the
that
streaming and the royalties issues and stuff like that. That's my guess.
Am I on a delay, guys? Can you hear me or no?
You are on a delay.
Can you hear me or no?
Yes.
I can hear you, but it's not
Okay,
matched to your mouth.
I'll leave and come back and see if I can improve that.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what the heck is going on. It's like these companies a few months ago, they figured out that, they're not making as much money now as they were when they put out DVDs. It's like, no shit, dude. Like, what? In what world did you think you weren't going to make more? Like, I don't understand what these guys were thinking. Like,
they kind of wanged their audience. I mean, I have 1,000 Blu-rays and DVDs kicking around, and I just realized the other day I didn't buy Quantum Mania. Like, I have all the Marvel stuff. I have, friggin' Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from England because they did it over there and didn't in ABC here. But so I'm willing to spend all that money but I just forgot because it doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't.
So wow, they just don't get all that money I used to spend.
Yeah,
I feel bad for them. All right,
and it's like the Paramount Plus issue too, where it's like, oh, we don't have as many subscribers as Disney. We're not making as much money as Disney. It's like, well, you need to change the goalpost there, buddy. Like, you are not going to have as many subscribers as Disney, period. Like, you have way more subscribers than CBS All Access had. I can tell you that. You should feel good about that.
It's literally like some high school senior at prom going, I'm not getting as laid as much as like Harry Reams. Like,
Right.
that's, well, you're not gonna. He's a porn star and you're a
Right.
kid, right? And it's the
Right.
same thing with that. It's like,
Yeah.
why are you comparing yourself to Disney? Like, stop it. It's not
Very-
even the
very
same,
odd.
the same game.
Yeah.
All right,
Should
let's
we-
see if John can
If you
talk.
can hear me,
Yeah.
can you guys hear me okay, or am I still
Yeah,
on delay?
now
I can hear you and I can see your lips moving at the same time.
And they seem matched up, so that's good.
That's wonderful.
Allegedly.
I think much like Batman Caped Crusader, which was the new animated show that Warner Brothers greenlit, then decided they didn't want it for Max, but they sold it, and now it's going to be on Amazon. I do think someone would bite at Prodigy because unlike Picard and its failure there, and unlike Discovery, again, this is real Star Trek. Prodigy is real Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't the issue with Prodigy, wasn't there a whole issue where originally it was supposed to air on Nickelodeon and then at the last minute they yanked it and put it on Paramount Plus? Am I misremembering that? Because they've done that a couple
I think
times.
you're Yeah, it did run on Nickelodeon as
Okay.
well. I don't know
Okay.
schedule because I don't watch the Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
But no, it did. And my friends Julie and Shauna Benson were writers on the first season and wrote on 3 episodes. And I was interviewing them on my show Word Balloon, and one of the Habermans chimed in the chat and was watching. And I'm like, hey man, please come on the show. And he said, I would love to. And he goes, let's email. And he told me, he said, the plan was for season 2, I think it was even in the news reports, for it to be on Nickelodeon in the winter. And he's like, he goes, PR people are telling me hold off on interviews until the second season starts airing. I'm like,
until
all
we
right.
cancel you.
Well, I mean, there's so
Exactly.
much.
Well, again, same thing happened to Caped Crusader,
There's so much tumultuous stuff going on with the writer's strike and impending actor strike and all that. I can see where they're just like, well, it's a cartoon. We did the best we could, but we'll sell it.
But
and
it's
get outta here.
and I agree with that mentality in like the corporate sense, but like this is just more proof that they don't understand the product, right? They're making Star Trek and they have no conception of who they're making it for, what the audience is. Like they don't know because like Star Trek people like Prodigy, like like what? Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
You can't explain it because it doesn't make a lick of sense. It's like
Right.
saying, you know what? I always wanted to, I had this dream of opening a tiki bar. And it's like I didn't tell anybody that, I have no idea about what the service industry even is.
Right.
But I'm gonna buy this building and and make a tiki bar, and me and 3 of my friends are gonna be here and drink all the stuff that we have. Like, and I don't
And if you
understand,
don't like it, you're wrong.
and I don't understand why my bar isn't successful. Right? It's like they didn't do anything to, I don't know, give a waiting audience what they wanted. But
Yeah.
we've been over that a billion times.
Should we talk about Strange New Worlds?
I would love to because I love
everyone
that
loves
goddamn
Strange
show.
New Worlds. Everyone loves that show.
And I don't
I
like
don't know why.
cartoons. So
I
I
don't know
want
why
to like
people
Prodigy,
do,
but
but they love
I
that
can't
show.
get over the cartoon problem. And I was thinking about that. Walker asked me, like, why do you love Lower Decks? And I go, because I don't see that that's a cartoon. Those guys, they draw the guys to look like the actors who voice them. So it's just like, all right, I have crappy eyesight. I guess that's what Tawny Newsom looks like now.
That's funny.
It's
That's
like,
funny.
Jack Quaid's got purple hair. Okay, whatever.
Fair enough.
I just sort of liked the second episode of Strange New Worlds. I didn't like the first episode. I didn't like the IT department from Starfleet coming in and tweaking the ship and all those women. Get off our bridge, you men. What do you know? And I hate like I said, I hate the way they've made Spock leave it to Beaver. Leave it to Spocker. Because, he has to learn how to be, again, interacting with humans and being more mature. And of course, don't worry. It's going to be all these Earth people are going to give you your Vulcan harp. And, just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I agree with everything you said, except I ended up on the like, all right, I'm gonna embrace it because it's clearly not the old Star Trek. So
Yeah.
why not have him bang Nurse Chapel in the hallway?
Hey,
Right? Why not like, oh, he's got round ears this episode. Okay. Like the old Star Trek was bananas, and that's what I loved about it. And so now they're just doing bananas stuff. Okay.
But Larry, it was only 30. It was only 3 seasons. But those were like 30 season or 25 episode seasons, and the big swings with humor that the original series took. It's like, okay, we've had a couple dozen straight episodes. Now we can do Piece of the Action. Now we could do Trouble with Tribbles. And I just feel like Strange New Worlds, on the one hand, it should be an advantage that they're only making 10 episodes a season because, they can really concentrate and try and make better shows. Still waiting. But in the meantime, also, like when they did the storybook episode last year, it's like, you guys haven't earned the right to do that yet, in my opinion. I just think I don't know.
I'm from the crowd that watched all the first season of Discovery about the mirror universe. So talk about not having the right to do anything.
No kidding.
Well, that's what I mean, man.
I'm like, go ahead and do a friggin' fairy tale episode because it's Star Trek at least.
But I don't know these characters well enough to laugh with them yet. And I feel like Discovery made that misstep. Hell, Next Generation made that misstep in the first season when they did Naked Now. And are we getting wacky? And Dana's having sex with Tasha, and Beverly and Jean-Luc are being silly. And it's like, I don't know these people.
Yeah,
I would like to know these people a lot better before I'm ready to like start laughing with them. But that's me.
Like when there's like a shitty Saturday Night Live skit that becomes like popular, and like then they make a movie about it, right? And like the movie, like it sucks, but it's like it's true to the skit, but also it's a movie, so they have to have like a love interest and like all that. Yeah. That's how I feel about Strange New Worlds. It's like an SNL skit that got turned into a full-time show. And it's like, there's just something, I don't know. Like you call them the IT department. Like, yeah, why is there a big fat guy like with glasses looking at the console? Like, dude, I'm a big fat guy with glasses. I should not be on the bridge. How about that? Like, I just, it's always off. There's always something off. I don't know. I hate that show.
I mean, I'm
Come back to me. Come back to me.
No, it's, again, the IT department. It's the Starfleet Corps of Engineers.
Right, of course.
I think they deserve a little more respect than I know my station. Back off. Hey, Ensign Uhura, sit down.
Oh, yeah. And the
whatever. Whatever.
I don't like the show. Everybody loves the show. Everybody likes the show.
You guys just sound like you forgot it's a television show, though.
I understand everybody likes the show. I don't know why I don't like the show. I'm not happy I don't like the show.
Come on, man. I know you're teasing us, but really, like, Star Trek used to lead in writing in the 60s.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it had smart television. And we got so much smart television surrounding Star Trek. But for some reason, they just want to play Star Trek. Like Robs does it all the time, Burnett, and I saw it with him. Where it's like they have I keep calling it a flashcard knowledge level of Star Trek. They see Kirk kissing a couple dozen women because it's a supercut of every Shatner kiss on the show, and it's like, yeah, that only took up about 10% of the time, and you're missing a whole 90% of, dare I say, the subtleties of Captain Kirk. And there are levels and layers to Captain Kirk. But no, this guy's a misogynist. And again, everyone who's seen the first 6 episodes is saying Paul Wesley is better than he was in that one episode.
I hope so.
And again, I think Ethan Peck has gotten better. But again, it's the material they give him. And I'm sorry, I love Babs. I love Dr. Mabenga. But I don't buy. Here's a Vulcan harp. Really? You don't think he might have like picked that up on Vulcan itself?
Yeah, he's probably never seen a Vulcan harp before.
It's cheap. It's cheap writing. It's cheap.
At some point,
everybody loves the first moments. Yeah, that's what was wrong with Solo.
At some point this season, they're gonna have Paul Wesley's Captain Kirk hand Spock a big Lurpa. And be like, here, Spock, have you ever learned about how to use a Lurpa?
I gotta say,
Once we're done with the An Woon, we'll move to the Lepa.
I fear that you're right about that, and I'm not looking forward to that. I don't see any world where this Paul Wesley guy is a good Kirk.
No,
It's just because Kirk
writing.
Kirk is a thick guy, though. He's a thick 1960s. I'm gonna take my shirt off, and you're not gonna like it, but that's the way it is. And I'm walking down the corridor because I'm sweaty, right? That Paul Wesley guy, I can see Chris Pine doing that. I can't see Paul Wesley doing that. He's too thin. I'm sorry, that's not.
What is the deal with that? I noticed that now people on Twitter were like, oh, none of these people are masculine or whatever. I'm not going that route, but like they are small men. Like her lawyer in this last episode was like this tiny little guy. Like, what is going on with that? It's very odd. And I'm not going down the whole misogynist route. It's just very noticeable.
And I'm not going to say that there's no men because you have Anson Mount on the show. So he's like, I haven't done the math, but he's like male. 60 or 70 regular men. So he's got the whole masculine quotient down. That's fine.
All right.
I'm down with all the transporter thing. Like, isn't that funny? Can we talk about that for a second? Like, like Mr. Kyle was this thin guy. Okay. And then he got everybody mad or something. They kicked him off the show. Nobody's really said what happened. But they replaced him with a trans actor who looks just like him and is doing the same thing. So, like, I can't help but think, are you making a transporter joke? Because there's really no reason to fucking do that. Right? And so then it's like, are you guys really doing that? Because otherwise, what is going on? Like, you need to cast, like, the transporter technician is not a type, right? They have, like, think about all the various Star Treks. That's the guest shot. That's where you put Mae Jemison in, right? That's where you put Terry Hatcher in. So I don't get what point they're making, and it's just unfortunate that it's for the transporter room.
Boy, if they are thinking that kind of 3D chess, I guess. But to be honest, though, regarding genetic modification, which was the debate subject of the courtroom story in episode 2, I think they missed an opportunity to show that, okay, it's the 23rd century. Are you telling me because genetic modification sounds too generic? Does that mean somebody with a nose job, Jennifer Aniston, couldn't be in Starfleet because she had a nose job? Or if they had breast augmentation, that's genetic modification? No, we're talking about eugenics. We're talking about something from Starfleet's standpoint to say, this is what happens when you screw with DNA and you improve these things. And that's an interesting intellectual discussion. But they went for the oversimplification to read to the LGBTQ community and to people of other colors. That's a choice. But unfortunately, it's big bad Starfleet, how dare you, as opposed to what we got in Measure of a Man. Where it was,
I agree.
Is it a machine or is it intelligent life? I don't know. Well, wait a minute. And then Guinan, God bless her. Hey, guess what? You make a bunch of datives, that's a slave race. Wow, that's impressive. Okay, I hear you. And I feel bad because I do think the woman that played the lawyer was great. And as others have said, get her and Sam Cogler, the guy who defended Kirk, in court-martial, and let's get a Starfleet LA law going or whatever.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Go for it. I'm so for that.
Didn't we talk? It must have been like 10 years ago now, Price. Didn't we have an idea for Star Trek JAG?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's
probably like, binging JAG at the time.
That seems like such a no-brainer for a show, right?
Just Just go around the universe, just solving mysteries and crimes and everything. And I think that's a really good point, John, about the issue they were tackling was far too broad and generic, because the problem, the episode was good, but from the in-universe perspective, like, yeah, they're all breaking the law. Like, it's pretty cut and dry. Like, after the eugenics war, there's a no more eugenics law, and you're all breaking the law. That's it, right? It doesn't matter if Rebecca Romaine is a good person or not, right? Now, I understand that's the whole point of the episode, et cetera, et cetera. What if the law is wrong, says Anson Mount, right? I get
Right.
that. But I think it would have been better in to piggyback off what you said, where if they made it more specific and to like the in-universe explanation, which they didn't. But I don't know. It was fine. It was a fine episode.
My big problem with that is that if you start looking at that stuff, even just tangentially, it all falls apart.
Of course.
Until the point where they have to have lines. Like I'm always saying, if it's important, just say a line. And they finally do say a line this time where they say, oh, it's just temporary genetic modification is fine. Because we have 70, 75 episodes where people go and they have bumps in their head. And like, well, isn't that the same thing? That's genetic modification. Oh no, but that's just for an hour or so. So who cares? Right. No, it has to be a crime or just calm down, right?
Or it's a case by case basis, as evidenced by Dr. Bashir, I presume.
Yeah.
TF9, where 100 years from now, it's still going to be a problem. And that's why it's like, no. And it's funny because obviously they presented that possibility to Una, and she's like, no, it's just completely wrong, as is then the defense attorney. No, it's just completely wrong. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, it isn't, because you're right. And in fact, again, it's a more nuanced discussion, because if we're talking about using the loose term even eugenics, but we're manipulating DNA so we eradicate diseases, or a child doesn't have to be deaf or blind or whatever. Those are good things. And that's why it's a case-by-case basis. And that's why even Julian, hey, we got to hold on a minute. I don't know if you could be in Starfleet anymore, but we looked at your case, and you're not trying to conquer the world, despite the fact that you're one of the best start players on DS9. It's like, okay, never mind. And again, that's reality. And you could have done it in the same way that you did with Data and stuff in Measure of a Man. But again, they had I hate to say it, they had a specific discussion, if not agenda, that they wanted to pursue and also relate to a lot of Star Trek fans. And I understand that.
I think that's fine though. And I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they did it like that, because it's not like the court-martial episode isn't a trope among Star Trek.
No, of course.
So if you're gonna do something like that, then do it in one of those things, and then everybody goes, "Oh, that was a rousing episode. Made me think," and now I'm gonna go watch season 2 of 24.
This was an episode that needed to happen.
Even what Philo says about the law was nobody visits Talos 4. And that's original series, and Spock broke that law. Well, again, that goes, guys, I haven't talked to you obviously since the first episode. But like Spock got off so lightly stealing the ship.
Oh my God!
Don't do that again, bad Spock. Give me a break.
Court-martial that guy. Are you
Absolutely,
kidding me?
man. Give me a break.
I hated that episode so much, and I hated the fact that was the first episode. And it's like, come on, dude! Like you're starting off with like the worst. If this is what you think is a strong opening, Jesus help us.
Well, Rick is right too. We don't need Kirk on this show at all.
No,
I'm kind of upset about that.
Yeah. Well, it's Akiva Goldsman. Akiva Goldsman is on record saying, we will never see Spock in Discovery.
Yeah.
And then, 5 minutes later, there's an entire season with Spock in it. So,
what are you
gonna do?
They panicked. That's why.
Yeah, because they suck.
Right.
Anyway,
they don't have a plan.
Philo mentioned that Talos 4. Do you see me waving around that little that red binder? Mm-hmm. That's my next prop I'm working on.
Nice.
I got the.
Is that the Talos 4?
I got the little hinge here. It's a boat.
Nice.
Hinge. And this is a diploma thing, but has the already has this in it. So
the text,
excellent.
Nice,
top secret, ready to go.
Excellent.
So I was gonna do something for San Diego with that, make little dork court certificates, and I'm like, nah, Star Trek wins. Anyway, this hinge, man, $12 for like something that goes on a boat.
What do you got?
It's the locking thing for the General Order number 1 thing. It was in the 60s. Okay. It was a ledger that you locked. It was a military thing to like write stuff down and then have it locked, and nobody cared. And I'm like, wow, how do you dope that now? And some friend of mine figured out there's some kind of marine hinge, so something goes on boats that's like the perfect size, and all you have to do is like cut like an inch off, and it works. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. I got a Dremel tool. Walker and I are making lots of helmets in 3D for this summer. That's
great.
Yeah, he's going nuts with a 3D printer.
I read, or I'm actually halfway through it. I was curious. The writer, whose name is Una McCormick, wrote a Picard novel called The Last Best Hope, something like that. And essentially, it's the prequel to the first season of Picard, and you see their attempt to evacuate the Romulan planets, and kind of establishes the relationship between Raffi and Picard. And it's actually good. I like it. There's a lot of, again, space politics, and also you see Admiral FU, when she's still a captain, working for the CNC at the time, and when Picard is still an admiral, and you kind of see the beginnings of the conflict, and she thinks in a different way. And maybe I'm only halfway through it, but I'm impressed with the writing so far, and at least it'll give us a reason why things are. It helps make the mess that is Picard season 1 make a little more sense.
That all seems like
anymore.
A good story.
We go to this flea market once a month and get all kinds of cool stuff. I tricked out my office bathroom like a steampunk thing with just crazy crap I bought there, and I found some guy had a banker's box full of Star Trek paperbacks from the 70s and 80s, and he's like, I'm like, what do you want for this box? He's like, I don't know, $10. I'm like, dude, take 20. This is fantastic. I'm good. Don't give me the change. I'm gone. And so it's basically because I had all these, and like when my dad died, I just chucked all that shit so my mother wouldn't have to worry about it.
Sure.
And then I thought, well, those were cool. I mean, I'm never gonna read them again, but for $20, I just basically got half my Star Treks back. And so people have been saying, "Oh, I'm looking for this one," and I'm like, "Dude, here, it's on me."
Nice.
And I still have about 40 of them, so I've been reading like I don't know, well, all the different ones. There's a cool one. Do you remember The Final Reflection? That's the one I'm reading. It was like the 15th or 16th one. It's all about the Klingons, and it made me think how back in the day when those came out, it would take me less than 3 days to read it. That's all I did. I'm like, okay, here's the new Star Trek paperback, and then I would read it and I would wait for the next one.
Yeah.
And now, like, I don't care. It's like, oh, there's a prequel to Picard #1. Well, I hated that show, so like I don't care how that came out, but I know that that's me, right? Because I'm stuck in the 70s and 80s when.
But what's better?
There was, now they're doing it as part of the experience, which is
But what's better is that they did release pocketbooks, their own continuity, because nobody was expecting Picard, and that they would go back to any of the Berman era Trek stuff. So it really evolved on its own. Beverly and Picard were married. They had a son. They named the son, I want to say, Rene, I think, after his nephew.
That's right.
And there's these last 3 books, at least, because Bad Robot and whoever's handling the license now, it's like, well, we're taking control. Everything's got to be canon now. But at least they gave the pocketbook people the opportunity to finish their story. So it's these 3 books. It's called Star Trek Coda, and it's like, as Larry, you'll understand, and maybe John will. It's all parallel universes. It's like Crisis on Infinite Star Treks, and it's great. And,
that sounds like something I'd like, honestly.
And Spock is in it, because there's some universe calamity, so he leaves Romulus and everything to help Picard and all these guys. And also Data in the interim rebuilt Lal and was able to have a successful daughter and everything, and she's part of the story. Yeah. And Wesley is a traveler in a good way, unlike Picard season 2, and is a big part of the story. That? It's and interacts with his brother. I mean, it's good. I really
like that. I really like the Pocket Universe books. I haven't read all of them. Obviously, there's like a billion of them, but
a couple hundred, yeah.
The whole Borg invasion storyline of 2381 I thought was really well done, and I know what happens in Coda, and I agree it's a really good finale.
Didn't we we spoke about that? It's about a year old, right? The Coda book?
Yeah, it was last year.
Probably.
And
I think it's cool that they let him finish that up, honestly.
Yeah. Not to spoil, but the big bad are the aliens that are in the season 6 cliffhanger and the first season 7 opener, where Data's head is in San Francisco.
Yeah,
and it's those weird
Davidians
aliens.
Yeah,
like going back to the 1890s or whatever. Yeah. And they're the big bads in Coda. And they really explain, and it made me rewatch the 2-parter. And I'm like, oh, and again, because these novelists pay attention to canon and find stories that fit in between the big events of the episodes of the movies. And
the thing with the novels that I think were always so fun and good was they really had the voice of the characters down. And you want to juxtapose that with something like Star Trek Picard or something like that, where the characters always sound wrong because they're using the wrong words and they're saying the wrong things. It's like the novels were really good in just like, oh yeah, that's literally exactly what William Riker would say. You know, that's exactly what Troy would say. That's exactly what Data would do. You know, whatever.
Yep.
So it's good.
I've become friends with a couple of the novelists, guys like Michael Jan Friedman, who also wrote a ton of the really good DC Star Trek comics and things. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure to John Jackson Miller, who did write good books for the Berman era, and he wrote a good Strange New Worlds book that kind of is a story in between seasons 1 and 2.
Good.
So,
you know JJ from way back, right? When he was the editor for the Comics Bios guy.
You know, I knew of him certainly, Dave, but I never really knew him until my first interviews with him.
And Marco Palmieri was the editor for the Pocketbook universe for a while, and he was a DC editor for the longest time. So I was like, it was just so fun to have your friends working on Star Trek, and then like Alan McElroy is writing for the show, and I don't know. It's just it makes me think, like, will you just give those guys the shows because they know Star Trek? Look at how good their books are. Anyway.
That's something I never understood, because exactly to that point, the books are really good. The comics are really good. Fuck, the video games have really good stories in them. Like, just use those people. I don't understand. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Strange New World is still happening.
You know exactly what that is, though, right? It's like you don't work to get your foot in the door at Hollywood for on the off chance to just, this guy's better than me at it. Why don't we give him the job? It's just like, that's not human nature, right?
Or maybe there's that even during the Berman era, there was that old stigma of, hey, don't be a fan of this stuff because then we don't want you. And Ron Moore had to like hide the fact that he was like this uber fan walking in with his submission and stuff and not be the geeky guy on the writer's staff. And it's like, guess what? That's the best writer. And then he's going to go off and write several other TV shows that are incredible as well. Oops.
I get why they do that, and that probably works for all the other television shows, but you can't have that for Star Trek. You have to have somebody because Star Trek isn't 90210, right? It's its own thing. It's its own world with its own rules.
They're trying, Lair. Yeah. Come on, Starfleet Academy. That's
going to be the best show.
Star Trek, like if we don't already have it.
I'm really excited that I can't wait to have Star Trek that I can just ignore. That's live action because I ignored Prodigy.
No, I can't not watch. I've been watching literally since I was 5.
Once,
like, don't take my stories away. I'm grandma, man. I need my stories.
Once I realized that I didn't watch like 3 whole episodes of Enterprise, and it wasn't like it didn't impact my soul. I was just like, that's not. I'm too busy. I'll catch it later, and then it's bad, and I don't care, and I lived my life. And I'm like, you know what?
Now he has an Enterprise jacket.
I'm just gonna do that going forward, though. Just because it says Star Trek on it. No, it has to be identifiably Star Trek. So that's why I don't have a problem with that the fairy tale episode, because that's just like, Apollo raping Lieutenant Galloway or whatever. It's like
Oh,
that's gonna happen
I
on
like-
Star Trek.
I
Leslie-
like the
Great Leslie
idea.
Parrish.
Right.
I like the idea that Strange New Worlds is what happens. It's a show set after the Cage, right? If you start Star
Yeah.
Trek after the Cage instead of Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Yeah, we got to give props to Sagasag.
Sagasag came up with
he was
that,
the
and
one for that one.
I really agree with that.
Me too.
And that helps me. That helps my brain because now I can say, "Oh, this is an offshoot dimension
Agreed.
of a really shitty thing that should have been canceled."
But see,
Got it.
check it out. Does that like make you like think Spock like makes a little more sense if he's the women guy? Well, all right, maybe he's like, I'm so glad you didn't die. Let me experiment with my human.
I hate the fact that he fucking cries in every episode.
Thank you.
I can't tell you how much I hate that.
Just like Zachary Quinto in the JJ
Yeah.
movies, and it's like an emotional Spock. The character disappears, and also if he's up against McCoy, McCoy wins.
Yeah.
I knew you were human. I knew you had emotions, that's the BS of it.
But that's the thing we got out of Nimoy being the better actor is that he was an emotional Spock. He was fucking emoting up and down the hallways.
He was,
but you got the idea that he didn't want to because he was an actor.
Yeah,
and
he knew what he was doing.
I think that what's his name, Ethan Peck. Yeah. He's got the memo now, and he's trying.
He's involved.
I did watch his first appearance because I didn't watch the whole thing because I cannot take the Discovery uniforms in the gold, red, and blue. It just with the big scarves, it just looks so wrong. It's not even funny. But I watched it and it was like that guy deserved everybody hating on him. But he's not that guy anymore. He's doing a great job. And I don't know if it's the writing or he's paced his voice, he's modulated his voice very, very Nimoy like. And I don't know. I like him. Him and Anson Mount are great. I would have said that Anson Mount and number 1 were going to be my favorite characters, and it's freaking Spock and Ortegas. That's great. Like that's Ortegas what I want. That's what I want from Star Trek. Here's some cool new thing I didn't expect. That's
too much snark. Way too much snark.
If she was the only one, it would be an appropriate level of snark. But she's not. Every character has snark. That's the problem. Anyway, I hate Spock.
I want Mabenga and Nurse Chapel to have their own spin-off show.
Yeah,
if you have to do
juicing up every episode,
just blowing out the airlocks and going, "Sorry, we're gonna die again," and like, let's have some drugs. Like, give me that show. That's awesome. Yeah. At least something's happening, and everybody's not standing around talking about.
Do we think we're gonna get the addiction trope with Mabenga as an after effect of shooting up?
I hope so.
I hope not. Good Lord. How many goddamn sci-fi shows do we need the doctor like on? They just did it on. Did you guys watch The Ark on Sci-Fi Channel?
I haven't seen it.
I watched the first episode and I didn't know it wasn't for me.
I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun. But hell, even Babylon 5, Dr.
Franklin.
Dr. Franklin. Thank you, man. Yep. I'm psyched for the cartoon.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
There you go, attaboy, Johnny.
I have an Earth Alliance pin around here somewhere that I can't remember where I put it.
I read a couple of the Del Rey novels of Babylon 5, which were good. Nice. They were really good. But that's as far as I got as far as any Babylon 5 stuff.
I have all 18 volumes of the bound scripts that Joe Straczynski put out, and that thing is a fucking masterclass in screenwriting. It's insane to read the script as written and have the episode going. It's insane, like how they made different choices and stuff that was intended to work and stuff that had to work later but they lost an actor or whatever and moved everything around. That show's insane. It's bananas how that.
I got to interview Straczynski and it was amazing. And I asked him about Michael O'Hare leaving after the first season and Ivanova leaving after the 4th season and everything, and bringing Tracy Scoggins in. And you got to give him credit, man. I mean, it is a magnum opus. It is one of those shows that will endure, and for all of its warts, as far as the CGI and other things, It's like from a story and character standpoint, one of the best ever.
I agree. I honestly don't even give it a hard time for its special effects because that
No.
was like, what is it, 1991 or something, 92?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, like, okay, the special effects
And
are,
the effects get
last.
better. They get better. Like obviously in the pilot kind of looks like shit. But like as it goes on, it gets better. There's some pretty cool battle scenes, some spaceships, and that's all you want. That's all you want.
That's all you want.
Yep.
That's all you want.
Agreed. And I was going to ask Larry, the books you got, do they include any of those James Blish adaptations of the original series, those anthology books?
Yes, I got 1 through 12 of the James Blish one. So if you need any, let me know.
Oh, no,
because I was missing an 8. I had the box set, and one of my friends needed an 8, so I lent it to him, and it just never came back, and I didn't care because you can get them everywhere. And then I couldn't find one, and then that's kind of why I was. That's why I gave the guy $20 instead of 10. I was so happy. I'm like, dude, I would have given you 10 for just this one, So like, yeah, there's some good ones. The AC, I forget her name, but Vonda
Crispin?
McIntyre's all over it.
Yeah,
AC Crispin, she's all over it. I got like 3 or 4 of her books.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I got got some stuff to send you, like really tiny. It's a FASA game. Do you remember that? I forget what FASA stood for, but it was.
I know what FASA is. Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
And they had little pewter ships.
Nice.
So I got all those, but they're just in parts. I don't know if they're even complete, but which is why I haven't sent it to you yet. But I'm like, you know what? Price needs this. Yeah. If just to make Jess mad. Like, what's this garbage on the kitchen table? I'm like, it's Larry. Leave it alone.
So where are these ships gonna go?
God, those early role-playing games, when I first saw them in a bookstore with the little pewter tokens and stuff like that, I'm like, what is this? And why am I just learning about this? Why didn't I have this stuff, 5 years ago when I could have been a grade school kid completely in love with this stuff? So, no, I hear you, man.
I don't even think the guy knew that was in the box, that it was on the bottom, like just covered in Star Trek paperbacks. So I'm like, all right, I hope this isn't like $1,000 worth of nonsense because it's meaningless to me and I'm sending it to John.
That's outstanding. No, those are great, man. Yeah, FASA. Didn't FASA do a Watchmen role-playing game?
I've never been into games.
Sag will know.
Yeah.
Ask him. Chris.
Oh, you're there in the chat, Chris.
I got because I'm pals with Derek Robertson, I got the Boys game that they did. And and I'm not a game guy, so I tried to give it to Chris, and he's like, "Oh, I don't play those kind of games." And I'm like, dude, your Facebook is full of like, I just did the 1957 Mets game again with stats, and like, here I did a Hot Wheels game, and he's just done 1,000 different kind of games with like the Boys. No, I don't do those kind of games. So I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, I see in the chat, Chris says Mayfair Games. Because they recently, in the last couple of years, they reprinted the Bible for the role-playing game for Watchmen. And it has a bunch of great, like, deep, facts about universe building and stuff that obviously wasn't in the comic book, but great for the game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and a ton of great Dave Gibbons art as well.
I just have always played cribbage. Never.
Well,
I played D&D once in college, and I thought it was hilarious to like mess with everybody. So I was like pushing elves into booby traps and stuff, and nobody wanted to play with me. So I'm like, fuck this game. I'm never playing games again. So
why am I playing? Oh, Dr. Boyce. I bet Dr. Boyce played 3-dimensional cribbage on Press.
Dr. Boyce. That's what I want to see. One of those guys walking by.
Absolutely agree.
Yeoman Colt show up. One of those guys.
Well, that a toy Yeoman Colt that they recast for those little movie montages they've made. Good Lord, she looks just like her. It's scary.
That's like spooky though. I wouldn't want her on there because I would think they reanimated that woman's corpse or something and rejuvenated her. That's spooky how much she looks like that woman.
Well, they'll never afford the CGI that a toy did to give us Eric's and give us a live action Eric's. That was pretty cool.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that on Strange New World. Speaking of cartoons, Maress and Eric's.
Oh God, yeah. Well, they have on
Lower Decks,
they have a doctor that is of, I believe, Maress's.
Cation.
Yes.
Do they really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
but she's not sexy like Morass.
Right,
All right.
Exactly. No, she looks like a house cat.
She looks like a house cat. Yeah.
Wow.
But she is funny, and she's got God, guys. It's mentioning Lower Decks. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly are writing the IDW Captain Sisko book,
Mhm.
and Worf was Sisko's security officer in that book. Then he broke away from Starfleet, and he has his own series now in Star Trek Defiant. So to replace him, they got Jenks from Lower Decks, the Bajoran security
What?
officer,
That's
and it's
awesome.
great
Fantastic.
because it's a straight action show. So Jenks is being played straight,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
fantastic.
so funny. It's great, and I laughed out loud when I turned the page, and Jenks is entering the bridge and everything. And it's the reason why I bring him up is that house cat doctor is having an affair with Jenks on Lower Decks, of course.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty funny because they go at it in the hallway bunks, which I'm like, really? Like, I don't think I would have done that in college, much less if I was an officer on a ship. Like, come on, man. Anyway, maybe. Who knows?
oh God.
Alrighty.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
was
sounds like we're reaching a natural end to our hour.
Yeah.
I just like how Shademan is gonna do one of those jackets too.
Shaneman's
But
in.
I'm dying to know. Like Chris, I think did his patch himself, which I'm like very excited about.
That's cool.
I have a blank there. If somebody just wants to drop
So we
their
should have
ship
a
names in there.
captain's convention, right? So you've got Exeter, Kitty Hawk,
all the various ships. Yeah,
Excalibur, Shaneman, your Columbia, shit, man.
that's like that Next Gen episode, the first season conspiracy episode, where all the famous captains show up.
That's
Right.
right. On Drylax 4.
X-Lax 4.
Well done.
All right. Well, that was awesome. Hey, John Suntrace, thank you for joining us, man.
Oh, my
Right.
pleasure. I'm sorry my space-time continuum is tangentially connecting with us. I'm on the TOS Defined and the Tholian web.
I was gonna say it's kind of like that David Gerald pitch of the protracted man. Do you read that in the World of Trek? Oh man, that's an episode I wish they did.
Larry, do you have any of those Best of Trek paperbacks?
I have some. I mean, I have all kinds of junk from Star Trek.
I did rebuy the New Voyages short story collection.
Oh, did you? I have the
And
first
those
two
are
volumes of
great.
those.
And it has the one where Nimoy, DeForest, and Shatner beam onto the Enterprise. And,
But it's the sets, right?
Yes. Well, they're
Yeah.
on the real Enterprise. They're like the three of them. The actors are on the.
Oh,
real
they
Enterprise.
went to the real one?
Yeah,
Because
and
that's
Scotty's the only one who knows. And
that's
they have
a
to, like,
follow-up
make their way.
story. That's
There's
a follow-up story
there-
to the first one, right?
Yes. There's two different stories, right? But the
The,
actor's perspective one is really funny.
That first one, I firmly believe to this day that's where Galaxy Quest came from. Somebody
Probably.
read that and went, "Oh, I get it. I can do that." Anyway,
It's a good one.
all right,
All right, guys. Well, I
call it.
appreciate everyone indulging my hatred of Strange New Worlds, and I'm going to go back and finish watching Stars on Mars and complain about how they're terrible astronauts, and I would do so much better than them.
Is Ariel Winter still on the show? I was very
unfortunately, yes, she is still on the show as of the time I came to record this. Yes,
because I was bummed that McLovin was the first one to go.
She is the worst. First of all,
listen,
she can't do anything. She's dumb as rocks,
Yes.
right? And she's bossing other people around. Like, I can't.
I couldn't watch it anymore. But also the first episode when she thinks Lance Armstrong has been to the moon.
Oh, it's brilliant.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was
A
and even
real
she's like,
astronaut.
oh my god.
You guys, we have a real astronaut. It's Anyway,
All right.
That's my evening. See you guys later.
All right, let's call it. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you where?
On the internet, I believe.
Yeah. I guess.
I guess on the